All right, so let's talk to Yusuf Ogumbi, now investment manager at Afex. Hello, Mr. Yusuf. Great to have you.
Good morning. Nice to be here again.
Good morning.
Good morning. Nice to be here again.
So, how has it been getting financing for the supply chain of the agricultural sector, especially at this time when, insecurity remains a huge challenge?
Thank you for that question. Quite intuitive. What I would say is there's been mixed reactions getting financing for the supply side of the supply chain generally because of a number of things. Risks, like you mentioned, one of them, the insecurity that we've seen so far, which tends to increase the risk. But then on the flip side, what you then need to do is to structure the product or to structure the financing such that investors are comfortable with what they are getting. So you are balancing the risk-return profile. And you also realize that if you are able to balance that well, investors are quite comfortable with the nature of the product. They will typically come into the market, provide financing, critical financing to provide to support the supply side of the market. And don't forget, the supply side is very, very important. Without it, we'll probably face some serious situations on our hands.
Yeah, but what's the impact of that financing the supply chain? What does it have? What impact does it have on the farmers?
Massive impact. I'll go from top to bottom. So if you look at, there was a World Bank research some years ago that said that financing the supply side of the agricultural value chain provides 11 times the impact as against investing in some other sectors in the country across sub-Saharan Africa. That's a clear indicator of what impact you might be expecting. If you also look at basic economics, we talked about the factors of production, land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur. A typical supply chain participant has land, they have the labor to provide, and they have the entrepreneurship to also bring onto the table. But on many occasions, they don't have the capital. So if you're able to provide that capital, you complete the equation and you are able to produce comfortably well for the country. So the impact is massive. That's on the production side. For the livelihoods of these supply chain participants, we've observed clearly that if you're able to consistently provide this this financing to these participants, you are able to impact their poverty figures. So take, for instance, some of as stated in our impact report, farmers that have been able to work with us, supply chain participants that have been able to work with us for like 2-3 years, they are significantly higher than the poverty line in the country, in the national poverty line, which speaks to the importance of the financing that is provided to these farmers, the support that is provided to these supply chain participants. So the impacts are significant, I must say.
All right, tell us about the opportunities for growth in this supply chain.
Significant opportunities, because quite a number of the commodities, quite a number of the products that we consume in Nigeria, we are still in deficit. So you look at the maize that we consume, soybeans, significant for the poultry industry. We still have a deficit in some numbers still tell us that we have a deficit in rice production. And it then tells you that if this staple, we are still in a deficit on this staple side, it means that we need to do more in order to cover. So the room for growth is wide, and we need to do more to cover for that deficit. So that's on the one hand. On the other hand, you have industries also expanding, which means that their demand will continue to grow, the need for these items will continue to grow, which then boils down to the same statement saying that the opportunities are massive, the room for growth is wide, and we just need to continue to do more of the support financing that we have been providing so far.
Well, just before we go briefly now, how has Afex been able to maximize these opportunities for revenue generation?
Yeah, contrary to what a number of people think, there's actually significant value at the bottom of the pyramid, which is where a lot of these participants operate. So you look at a case where there are market creating innovations are brought about by Afex. And that means that if you are able to provide services that people need, but then they don't have access to, they are willing to pay a price for it, which then means that you are able to kill two birds with one stone, as the saying goes. So you're able to provide that impact, provide financing, provide support to the supply side. And at the same time, you're also able to earn some revenue from it. And it's sustainable. Basically, that's what we call impact investing. So it's profitable, it's sustainable, and it impacts the lives of these supply chain participants.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Yusuf Ogunbiyi, Investment Manager at AFEX.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us this morning. We'll just take a moment and we'll be right back.